All right, 7th graders, we are going to do our first set of notes for Southern Europe. I will hand back the test to you tomorrow. I'm currently in Ravenna today, so I can't really do that for you. Excuse me. But today we are going to do Southern Europe, physical geography and history, as usual, our part one for this set of notes. And in particular, what we're going to be doing for this set of notes, we are going to get up here. We are going to be highlighting this part. There we are, it's beautiful. This part of Europe. As we have that, let's go ahead and just move on. So, the first thing we need to take care of is the physical geography for this part of the world. It is definitely a land of peninsulas. And you have three different ones that you need to know. You have the Iberian Peninsula, that is where Portugal and Spain are located. The Italian Peninsula, of course, where Italy is located. And then the Balkans is where Greece is located. There's a number of other small states as well that are there. In general, these lands are relatively rocky and steep and very difficult for farming. In particular, the Balkans, where Greece is at, is very much like this. The ancient Greeks did not get a lot of their original food from the land. They could grow wine and olives, and some fishing, but most of the time they traded for their food. There was not a lot of farming really done in an ancient Greek society. There was some, sheep herding in particular, but not really a ton of farming. We also have a lot of very small countries when we're talking about this part of the world. We have the island of Malta, which is only 122 square miles. And you have about 3,000 people though who live per square mile, so that's a relatively densely populated island there. You have the small city-state of San Marino that is entirely surrounded by Italy. It is a grand total of 61 square miles. And then you have another city-state entirely surrounded by Italy, and this is Vatican City. And Vatican City, in fact, is so small that it's not just surrounded by Italy, it is entirely surrounded by the city of Rome. It is the smallest country in the world, not only in population, where it only has 1,000 people, but also in sheer size. It is only 109 acres. For perspective, the town of Superior is a little bit bigger than that. So imagine the town of Superior being its own country, and that's what you have for the Vatican City. Vatican City is the headquarters of the Roman Catholic Church, so those of you in class who are Catholic, this is where the Roman Catholic Church has its headquarters. This is the seat. This is where the Pope is. Those 1,000 people, a lot of them are some of the highest ranking officials within the Catholic Church, called the cardinals. We'll talk about this a little bit more as we go on in this unit. But again, some really small countries when we're here in Southern Europe. Moving on to history now. The ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans, of course, are some of the most famous classical empires that existed in this time period. The ancient Greeks were a trading empire, which is one that trades goods and services. They have a lot of imports and exports, and they had to. Like I said, not a lot of food was produced within the Greek city-states, and so they had to trade in order to survive. And also, we like to think a lot of time of ancient Greece as just kind of being like one country. It's somewhere around this area right over here. But in reality, that's not how ancient Greece was. Ancient Greece was a bunch of tiny little city-states, including Athens down here, Ephesus, Thessalonica. You had Corinth, you had Sparta, of course, which is most famous for the movie 300, and for its extreme militaristic ways. But Greece honestly operated as small little city-states and not together as a unified country, really until the Persians invaded them in a few thousand years before Christ. Now, in Italy, that was the center of the Roman Empire, and you can see the city of Rome right here, which was one of the largest, longest-lasting European empires. The map I have down there at the bottom, that is the maximum extent of the Roman Empire under the Emperor Trajan in the year 200 AD. The Roman Empire probably grew a little bit too big for its own good. It was eventually invaded by the Germans, and as they would call them, the barbarians. The Huns also caused issue. You remember we talked about Attila earlier on. But we still, of course, have a lot of impact from the ancient Romans. A lot of our architecture is based off the ancient Greeks and Romans. Our law system, the Senate, a government system, is based off the ancient Romans. So we owe a lot of our history, a lot of what we are like today due to the ancient Romans. Even the spread of the Catholic Church, the fact that the Catholic Church is so widespread in our world today, has the Roman Empire to thank a lot for that. Going on the other side of the Mediterranean Sea, we have Spain and Portugal, famous for their explorers and the discovery of new trade routes to Asia, and also, of course, for their discovery of the Americas. Christopher Columbus, of course, the most famous of these explorers. The map I have down there at the bottom, that is considered to be the maximum extent of the Spanish Empire. So you can see that the Spanish Empire indeed was one of the largest empires at its time. At its height, it had control of most of South America and, of course, Mexico. Even where we are today, the Louisiana Territory and Nebraska, because there was a temporary transition where the French gave over control of the Louisiana Territory to the Spanish. But eventually, under Napoleon, the Spanish would give that right back to the French. That is it. Your funnies today are courtesy of dog pictures. Mission objective. I has infiltrated the dog base and made the perfect disguise. Also, they are adorable huskies. Well, it's not going to throw itself, human. And finally, 3 a.m., the perfect hour to have a barking contest with the neighbor's dog. All right, you guys should, after these notes are done, you should go ahead and grab a Chromebook. Mrs. Simonson will direct you there. I have sent you an email with the geography, what the geography bee is, as you may remember from last year. You will just be answering questions to test your geography knowledge. This is something we do as a school-wide contest. What we will do is we will have, I believe, 7 different parts of the geography bee, so you're only going to do part 1 today. Whoever gets the most correct, we will take the top 10 out of the junior high, and they will move on to the school competition. At the school competition, there we will have 1 champion for the school, and then that person will take a test, and if they do well enough on the test, they will move on to the state competition later on this year. So I encourage you to do the best, take your time. It is multiple choice, so give it your best effort. Other than that, I hope you guys have a good day. I will see you tomorrow when I come back.